We're here today talking with Charles Anthony Merchant Childs about his book, Beyond the Grave. Charlie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Scott. Thank you for having me.
Let's start. Just give us a little bit of insight and talk a little bit about your book.
I always wanted to write a book about the topic that the book is on. But my mother always told me not to wear my spiritual life on my shirt sleeve. So I didn't do that. And on an occasion when I was in my home state of Maine, I went to see a noted medium she's quite famous now in all of New England for a totally different reason. And during the meeting, she said to me, Charlie, she said, do you write? I said, well, I write letters. She said, no. She says, I mean, do you write? She said, because you're going to write a book and it's going to take you exactly 10 years to write this book. And then from the rest of the meeting onward with her, she opened up things in my life that no one else would know. She foretold things about me in spirit that nobody else would know. I'm in my 8th spirit cycle. And so I went to Maine to work at an inn for that summer. So the very next day, I had that day off. And so I took my laptop and went into the pub and was going to talk to my family, say hi and whatever, like I usually do. And all of a sudden, boom, the light switches went on and I just started typing. And that's the way the whole book has flowed. It starts out with my ancestry on a small remote island in Maine. And then it evolves from there because that's where my spirit life comes from, my maternal side. I am a direct descendant from Samuel Wadwell, who was the last male to be hung as a wizard in the Salem witch trials. And it was his granddaughter that escaped the persecution and went to the remote island in Maine, which was then Massachusetts, of Deer Isle. They were the first white settlers to settle there. And so that whole spirit lineage comes down through my mother's family. And it's revealed in the book, certain things I touched on that spirit told me to tell. So the medium actually is the one that unlocked the avenue and said, okay, now's the time for you to write this and put it out there.
So was she accurate and did it take you, was it a 10-year process?
It took me 10 years exactly to the week.
Wow.
To write the book. And she also predicted things that would come about because of the book. So I'm now waiting to see. So far, she's been right on.
So I guess only time will tell.
That's right.
What is you mentioned, just your lineage and the unique being connected to the Salem trials and all of that. Is there a favorite part of your book or something, kind of a teaser you can share with us about your book? Because we obviously want our audience to read your book, but is there something you can leave us with and pique our interest?
That's a difficult question.
There's too much. It's too good.
Well, let me put it this way.
Okay.
So far, all of the readers, I've sold like maybe 300 or so books so far that are autographed. Every single person says that when they start reading the book, it's hard to put it down.
There you go.
Because there's something about the book itself that pulls the reader into it. And they say, Charlie, people that know me that have bought it, said, Charlie, we can actually hear your voice telling this story. And there's only one chapter in the book. Well, it's like a story. The chapters don't continue one from another. They're like little stories of their own.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one chapter in the book that is not real. It's fiction. But I used my ancestors' names in creating this chapter, but everything else are real spirit accounts through the death of my grandfather, and yeah, it's just,
it's a fascinating read.
once you open the book, it's got you.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it's written well and a great story.
It's only 122 pages or thereabouts. So if you're a fast reader, you could read it in one sitting.
Well, Charlie, as we end our time together, anything else you want to share with us about yourself or about your book?
Well, what I'd like to tell the reader is that if a lot of people that are sensitive to the spirit world or paranormal activity and things like I am, they keep it to themselves and they don't tell anybody. But what I want to convey to the reader is that if you feel like you should, then tell it, because it's important for those of us that are spirit sensitive to tell our story, because it's real and everybody needs to know that. I mean, don't get discouraged, because there are people who wear spiritual blinders and they don't see beyond the veil like we see. But just follow what you feel, and if you have a story like mine, you need to tell it.
You can grab a copy of Charlie's book, Beyond the Grave. It's available online through Page Publishing, his publishers. He's got a website through his publisher, but it's also available online through Amazon, through Barnes and Noble. It's available as an ebook, or what I call a Kindle version, through the Books app on iTunes. Thank you so much, Charlie, for sitting with us and talking with us about your book today.
Thank you, Scott. It's been a pleasure.
Have a great day.
You too.